Welcome back. In this lesson, we're gonna cover the topic of rows. And as we mentioned, rows are database object under which we have some permissions or grants. So we can assign to a row one or more privileges and assign that row to any number of users, and they will automatically get multiple grants at once. So let's proceed with our example. And for the needs of that, we're gonna create a new user and we're gonna grant him first the unlimited table space, as this is one of few grants that we cannot put into a row. Okay. Further on, we create a row as any other database object. So the syntax is create row and the name of the row. So we're gonna create a row. At the moment it's empty, as in it doesn't have any privilege or a grant assigned to it. So we're gonna add that. And we do that as we would with any other user. So the syntax for grants is practically the same. So it is grant. I'm gonna assign the create session to that row. So the users that have that row connect to the database, and rest of the syntax is the same. So the to and the name of the row, right? So I'm gonna add that one, and we're gonna add couple of privileges directly on objects. So we're gonna grab select and update on a table employees under the HR schema, and again the rest is the same, so it's to and the name of the row, right? And we can grant a row as any other privilege we learned up to this point. So the syntax is grant the name of the row, to, and to which user. But prior to that, let's try to connect with our newly created user just to see and confirm that he does not have current permissions. So from my SQL Plus, I'm gonna try to connect with my newly created user with the standard connect syntax. And when we try that, it fails as it doesn't have a privilege to create a session or connect to the database. Now we're gonna grant that user our newly created role, which has the create session privilege assigned to it, right? So let's grant that role and let's try to reconnect with our newly created user. So the same syntax for the connect, and this time we are connected. Now, if we check which privileges are on the HR personnel role, we can see that we can do only select and update on HR employees table. So let's try this. So let's just select all from that table. And we can see that works just fine. If we try to select from some other database object, so for example, on our HR schema from the jobs table, this will of course fail as we do not have that privilege, right? There are a couple of things that you have to have in mind when dealing with the roles. The first one is if the user has a direct privilege assigned to it, and the same privilege exists also in a row that is assigned to him. If we revoke either of those, the other one is still gonna be in place. So for example, if I add direct privilege or direct grant to query on HR jobs table to our newly created user, right? And we also add that grant to our row, right? Now our newly created user can select from the HR jobs table, right? This works just fine. And now if we revoke that select from our user, but on the row that grant is still present, that user is still gonna be able to perform the action granted by that privilege, right? So let's try to revoke direct grant. So revoke is successful. And if we try to query from that object, this is still gonna be possible as the row contains that permission. And another important thing to have in mind, which is different than with the direct grants, is that if we drop an object and recreate it, and privileges exist on that object in some row, we do not have to make those grants again. They will still exist. Okay? This is very important to have in mind, especially for the exam, as this could be a trick question. And lastly, as with any database object, we can also drop a row. And the syntax is very easy. It is drop row and the name of the row, right? So now our row is dropped and also all of the privileges that are assigned to it, and the role is assigned to some users, those privileges will also perish. So now if we try to query from the HR jobs table, this will not be possible as that role is not existent anymore, and also the privilege is gone for that user, as we can see. And as we dropped that role, reconnect with that user won't be possible, as we also lost the create session privilege, right? So if we try to reconnect, this will not be possible, right? This is it for this one, and see you in the next one.